All right, well, let's start. Thank you everyone for being here for the last presentation of the day. I will try to keep you awake and hopefully you won't fall asleep or you won't left all my talk for the beer. So yeah, today I will talk to you about the 10 warning signs in IT projects. Before I start, raise your hand if you've worked on a project more than 50 hours a week. Okay, raise your hand if you've worked on a project more than 80 hours per week. How many of you actually canceled their vacation and their holidays to work on a project? Okay, don't worry, you're not alone. Here are some crazy statistics for you. 70% of IT projects fail in a way or another. And 66% of projects go over budget. 33% go over schedule. And 17% under-deliver value. This is crazy stuff. My name is Yann Larrivée. I'm a developer consultant for Foolab. I specialize in project rescue, and I'm currently writing a book on this topic. My objective with this presentation is to help you identify threats to projects early. I want to reduce the number of project failure, reduce the stress, the anxiety, and the headaches caused by those projects. And most importantly, I want you to spend more time with your family because this is the most important thing that you have. Some vocabulary. Based on a few discussions I've been having with some friends, a lot of people don't understand these very basic words, so I will explain them to you. These are important. Objective. An objective is what you're trying to accomplish as a business. It has nothing to do with features, frameworks, or methodology. A friend of mine has a startup, and his objective is to build an application to help people discover new music. This is an objective. Matrix is a system to help you measure how close you are to reaching your objective. And success is when you reach your objective. Failure, well, do I need to talk about it? It appears that according to the stats, we're very good at failing. Some of the objective signs. Stakeholders don't agree on objectives. In very large projects, sometimes you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 stakeholders, and it's very hard for them to come to an agreement, to commit on things. And the simple reason is because one will try to take over or take control of the project and will try to impose his vision, and others will actually have to pull out or basically pull out. The goals are not communicated efficiently to the developers, to the integrators, and to the designers, or they're simply not understood because they're not well defined. Some of the solutions that I found is you should get all the stakeholders in one room with the project manager and have them to commit on those goals. Have them write all these goals on one sheet of paper. It doesn't have to be complicated. One sheet of paper, bullet point, and get them to sign that contract. You want that signature. You want people to commit, and so you can move forward. This is the base of your project. This is the key to your success. You want to have a kickoff meeting that where you will invite all the developers, the integrators, the designers, even marketing people, and you want to explain those goals. Everybody is a key player to success. Everybody needs to know about these goals. You also want to print those goals on a poster, hang them in your office, so it's in your face all the time, and it sticks in your head. Print those goals on a sheet of paper, post it beside your screen, so every time you take a decision for that software, you will actually ask yourself, how does it bring us closer to the objective? This is important. Deadlines. The deadline is too tight. We've all worked on a project where we think this project will take 3 months, well, or should take 3 months to do, and we try to squeeze it in a month and a half for some reason. This is crazy. We should never do that. But we actually do it, and what happens, we start working overtime. This is another great sign that things will go bad. Another great thing is actually the deadline is too far. This is very funny. We underestimate this one most of the time. And I'll tell you a story. This happens to me many, many times. My girlfriend and I, we walk in a bar, and the bar is empty. We sit down, and we're expecting service. 5 minutes go by. I look at my watch. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. And other customers walk in. They get service. They get their drinks. And I still have nothing. The reason for this is because the waiter initially was not in working mode. There was not enough work to notice that I was there. I was not important. It was not critical enough. You should start working on things as soon as you have time. If you have free time, go for it. Move forward. Some solutions. You want to, if the deadline is too tight, you want to negotiate that deadline. One of the projects that I've worked on is for elections, for example. We were working on a pool platform, and sometimes those deadlines cannot be moved. But if you can move it, you should move that deadline if it's too tight. If you can't move it, you need to negotiate the deliverables, remove things. Not everything is critical in the software. You can remove things. You should prioritize those features based on objectives. Always ask yourself, like I said, I won't stress this enough. Ask yourself, how does it bring us closer to the objective? You should get more skilled developers. A skilled developer will work much faster and will produce less bugs than a junior developer, and it will cause you less headaches, and you'll be able to move faster. What you want is speed. You should plan time for the unexpected. Once, my coworker worked on a project, and the single developer that was working on this actually was diagnosed with cancer, and he needed immediate medical attention, if you want. And imagine this, like, this is totally unexpected, you know? Like, you need to plan for these things. These things really happen. It's not just a story, it's true. Some of the other signs, you have no demo within the first month. Maybe you have a first demo, but maybe you're missing the second demo, the third demo, the fourth demo. This is very bad. You basically don't have a project. Some solutions, you should have a demo every 2 weeks. This is the bare minimum. And if you have a very good team and you have a very good product owner, he will understand that there can be bugs that are introduced in the software or features that are actually disabled for obvious reasons. And that can, if you have that very good team, you can have weekly demos. And this is great. You want those. You should share your development URL with your managers. And I know this is scary to developers, and I hated it, and I always thought this is a bad idea. But we always think that the manager will actually spy on us for some sort of reason. But no, this is false. They have way better things to do. They have bigger problems to take care of. If you actually share that URL with them, what it will do, it will bring them peace of mind. If they don't see any progress for weeks, they'll be able to go see, well, is something happening? So you want to share that. The managers should project managers, and team leaders should look at Git commits. I know it's not a sign of true progress. There could be bugs. It's not a sign of quality or anything. But by looking at the Git commits, you know actually something is being produced. We once worked on a project where there was no code that was committed for over 3 months. And when it was time, when the developer was challenged to push something in production, actually he couldn't do it because he's been slacking off for the past 3 months. Obviously, this person got fired for a very good reason. Yellow flag your task when you're 50% through the time allocated to the development of this task. Red flag that task when you're 75% through the time dedicated to that task. The simple reason for this is you want your manager to be able to find a solution or maybe assign you to a different task. Maybe what you're working on is not really important. It's not that important at all. So red flag those tasks and yellow flag them. Team spirit. I'm sure you've seen this before. Developers pointing fingers at each other. Oh, this guy is a noob, or this guy just, doesn't know how to code. He just creates bugs. He's bad. Poor collaboration. Or just a negative attitude. I once worked on a project where, where the stakeholder was in a meeting with 3 developers, and he actually started batching at another team that was not present. This is very bad. This is terrible. It destroys the team spirit. If you expect people to help you when you point fingers at them, you're wrong. This person will not help you at any time. Some solutions, whenever someone has a bad attitude or a negative attitude in a project, you should break that conversation no matter what their rank is. Even if it's the product owner, you should break that conversation. Acknowledge the problem and always change the focus to the solution. Because what you want is not focus on those small issues. You want to aim for that finish line. That's all that matters. You want to finish that product. You want to push it out there. Meet the team members that have a negative attitude. Explain them that their negative attitude affects them, affects the team, affects the project, the success of the project. And if required, you need to, if the attitude doesn't change, you need to remove that person from the project. It's the rotten apple within the project. You don't want that. Get to know your team members. Go have a beer, right after. We have we have free beer. Go have a beer with your coworkers. I once worked in a company where the sysadmin was a big skier, and so am I. I actually went skiing every 2 weekends with him. We became good friends. And when I wanted something to be done in production in a record time, I would just fire an email. It would get done instantly. Nobody else could get those kind of results. Don't underestimate the power of beer. Communications. No one ever reports the true problem or the true status of the project. This is happening. This happened to us last week. We have an international organization that contacted us because they couldn't see any progress in the project, and they asked us to do an investigation. This project, there are two providers, one for the back end for Node.js and MongoDB and web services, the other team for all the front end, AngularJS, HTML, and all that cool stuff. I'm not trying to push, I'm not making a judgment on those technologies. They're great technologies if you know what you're doing. But what we did, when we did our investigation for the back end, what we noticed, there was nothing. There was no web services, no Node.js. MongoDB was not even installed on the server, nothing. And on the front end, there were basically no JavaScript, just PSDs and a little bit of HTML. Why was this project going since April until mid-October without progress, without anybody raising the real issue? This is insane. People are counting on you. Business depends on this. You should always say the true status. If you can't get the job done, say it. People provide excuses when they face roadblocks. They will talk about those issues with the framework. The framework is buggy, or I need a new version of Doctrine for some sort of reason. Is it basically you're looking for problems that are probably not even existent? You don't need this. You should be focusing on moving forward. People forward you to the documentation. Basically what it means, they don't want to take that 5 minutes to explain you how it works. So it means that they don't want to talk to you. Language and time zone. I've once worked in Canada. We have a great country. It has 5 time zones. I once worked on this project where there were 2 teams, one in Montreal, one in British Columbia. We had a 4-hour time zone difference. One team spoke French, the other team spoke English. One team was junior and the other team was senior. When it was time to communicate over their specifications, they could not communicate at all. No matter, not even because of the language barrier, but because of their skill level was different. For one, it was simple. For the other one, it's way over their head. So some solutions, when people find excuses, always try to find the root cause. What is the real problem? Why do we need this? In the case of 2 teams that speak 2 different languages, have someone that is bilingual, someone that speaks French and English. In your case, someone that's speaking Hungarian and is very good in English. Readjust your time zone, readjust your schedule to accommodate everybody. In that case, what we did, we changed our schedule by 1 hour, and the other team changed their schedule by 1 hour. So we had 2 extra hours to have some FaceTime, or at least to talk over the phone and resolve the issues. In status meetings, people usually don't say the true status of things for the simple reason because nobody wants to say they don't know how the framework works, or they don't want to admit they're facing an issue. They don't want to look stupid in front of their peers, right? The ego takes over for some reason. I don't know why. So what you want to do, actually, you want to have that one-on-one conversation. Sit with them 5 minutes, ask those questions, and you'll actually be very surprised that the information that you can have. So focus. A lot of people focus on methodologies, architecture, frameworks, and tools. This is, most of the time, a distraction because nobody knows how that super message queue system works for some reason, and they're fighting against those tools. Maybe it's time to consider a simpler solution. Adding cool features. I'm sure you've seen this all. You've been working on this project, and then the product owner comes to you and say, oh, can we add this? It's going to be so much better this way. This is called scope creep. And obviously, as a developer, you accept because, you know, he's your boss. He signs your paycheck. And this is bad. As a developer, sometimes we also tend to add cool features because it's going to solve a problem that we may have in 5 years. But, you know, that software is probably going to go to garbage in 5 years anyways. So you're spending time that you should not spend that time on these things. You should spend on things that are more important. This is called scope seep. Or you actually look at your code and you look at this code, oh, it's so bad. I'm just going to rewrite this. It's so more pretty. And then 2 days later, you come back to the code and it's still not as great. I'm going to rewrite this. This is called gold plating. You're wasting your time. Last minute changes. I've worked once for this gaming company that I won't name. In the gaming industry, we have a term that is a terminology. A game is golden. It means the game is bug-free, and it's ready to be pushed in production. It's ready to be sold. So these guys has been working on this game for a long time, and the game was golden. It was ready to be sold. Friday comes. The whole team gets fired. Don't ask any questions, please. Monday morning, I walk in the office. This game was the best seller of all time. Awesome results, but totally the morale of the team was totally, you know, of the company was a disaster. Nobody wanted to work there anymore. Focus. Some solutions, yes. Plan time for R&D outside of your project. You should, so that time should not be accounted towards the budget for that project. It should be out in another budget. Focus on delivering value, not features. Always ask yourself, how does it bring us closer to the objective? I won't stress this enough. This is the most important question you can ever ask yourself. Documentation. I'm sure if I send you an email with 3 paragraph, long paragraph, and in there I hide a little sentence, important, with 3 things, and I ask you all in 5 minutes, what were those 3 important things? Most people will not be able to give me the right answer. This is because in IT, we have a deficit of attention. We receive so much emails. We receive so many tweets, Facebook, Instagram, that we're overloaded with information. We barely read the title of the email and delete the email because we want that inbox 0. No documentation. In the case of the programmer that had cancer, imagine if I had no documentation for that project. It would have been very complex to solve. It would have taken much more time to take over. Nobody has a 10,000 feet view of the project. This is bad. This means actually that the people that work on the project don't know what they're doing. This is crazy. How do you want to reach a goal with that? No or poor documentation, technical and functional analysis. These are your blueprints. This is what you should look for to build your home. You need this. Some solutions, plan time for analysis. I know there's this new tendency in Agile to just not document things because it's useless, right? I don't think so. I think it's critical to have some documentation. Centralize all your documentation in your Git repository so you don't have to go fetch in your email for some documentation, or you don't have to go in Dropbox or Google Docs or other places. I shouldn't have to use a specific algorithm to decrypt your code and understand it. Have a good tool to write documentation and specifications. There are 2 great tools that you need to use, according to me, that are very valuable, that are cross-platform, work on Linux, Windows, and Mac. It's Asta UML and Balsamiq. They do a great job. They're very cheap, too. Everybody can afford it. Your documentation for your module should be straight to the point. It should not be more than 3 pages, and you should write it in bullet lists. Like, nobody reads those big novels anyways. We have better things to do, watching pictures of cats and things like that. So, some signs for quality. The ghost problem. I'm sure you've seen this before. You're working on this bug and you fix it. You send the software to QA. The bug comes back in a different area, in another form. And then you fix it, send it back, and then it comes back again. The endless bug list. You're working on this software and the bug list just keeps adding. The bugs keep adding for some reason. You have an architecture problem, obviously. You don't have time for quality assurance, or you don't have time to do performance testing. This is crazy. That means you're actually going to put that software and it will just blow up in your face. You don't want that. Have some solutions. So have your development and staging environment ready before you start doing anything. Have your production environment ready 1 month when you're through your project. It all depends also on the size of your project and the time of your project. Test those, determine what are your mission critical components. This is your engine. You have to test it. Write some unit tests. It has to work. Have QA do their work before each demo. You don't want to go to your customer and do a demo and it doesn't work. You don't want to look stupid, right? So, also have some matrix to measure the no matrix to measure the expected outcome. You should have matrix to measure the level of success of your project. For example, I have this project. I have 5 scenarios. I have this catastrophic scenario, this not so bad scenario, this okay scenario, very good scenario. This enables me to measure as I move forward where I am currently, what is my current position towards towards the finish line. If I'm running this marathon, I need to know if I'm at the 50th position or the 3rd position. If there's 100 meters left to the race, or if there's a kilometer left. If there's 100 kilometers left, I know I can actually start sprinting and finish first. Determine the level of quality of your software. Not every bug needs to be fixed. There are edge cases that you can fix later. Determine the level of performance expected out of your software. If you're a TV channel, you have statistics of how your website is actually, how it's currently performing. So when you actually flip that switch, you know that you're at least gonna get 1 million visitors per day on that page. You know these things, use it. What I want you to take away from this presentation today, before doing any project, you should do a situation appraisal. This means, as a business, you should determine if you've already solved these kind of problems before. What are your technical skills? What are the extra skills that you'll need to bring on board to solve this problem? What are your objectives? Have some matrix for your project to measure your level of success. Also, determine who's accountable for what. I'm sure you've seen this. You've worked on this project, and then you ask, oh, well, have you done this? Oh, no, I thought that was you. This should never happen. Have a clear chain of command. Who reports to who and for what? This is important. Communication is key. And like I said, always bring it back to always ask yourself, how does it bring us closer to the objective? If you have a large project, for example, that takes a year, you should break it down in 3 months iterations. And that 3-month iteration, you should break it down in 1-month iteration. Deliver that iteration, deliver that product, build on top of it. You need to reach that finish line as soon as possible. If you can't see the finish line, you're never going to reach it. You might actually run out of breath before you reach it. Or if you don't know where the finish line is, you might actually just run past that finish line and keep going for 2 more kilometers and exhaust yourself. This is crazy. It should not happen. Socialize with your coworkers. Go have a beer. Don't underestimate the power of beer. And the most important thing of all is keep calm and stay alert. You actually stay alert for these warning signs. It's not because your project is actually going well that you're not actually heading for some trouble. You might just be blind. You might not just be listening to these signs that I just told you. This is my presentation. Any questions?
Good afternoon. I have one question. You told us about the list of objectives that all stakeholders should sign up and so on. But how can we possibly know the objectives before we are creating the software? It's called, you can't have clear objectives until you try it with your users and so on.
Well, you always know a little bit what you're doing. You're building a software, I don't know. Like I said, I'll take the story of my friend. He's building a software to help people discover music. You can throw some figures, say, by the time we launch this product, and 6 months after, we want to have that many users. Or you're launching this new service, and you want to have you want to have a certain number of user conversion. There's always some objectives are more business than technical aspect of things or how you implement things. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I understand the objectives are business, but the different stakeholders can have different views of how should business should look like, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but it only doesn't need to cross each other, not?
Yeah.
Because I don't think whether conversion rate 80% or 60% is making much more difference, and why should they always sign up different
Well, if you don't write things down, if you don't commit to these things, then you'll have the goals that will change while you're through your project, and that will create distractions, and then you'll have change requests, and you don't want these things.
Okay.
Any other question? Then thank you for the presentation, and I just remember everyone that don't estimate the power of the beer. Don't overestimate the power of the beer, sorry. The Czech guys welcome you.